Flashing Eye Lucy, and welcome back to another year of Scare-uary, where Lucy and I cover scary movies over the months of January and February. That's right! And this year, we're diving specifically into the horror lineup that is on the streaming service HBOMax. There are so many odd options on that platform. You know, when I first saw it, there were so many different things, lots of sequels. So we're kicking off this Scare-uary by talking about something that's a little puppet-oriented, but also kind of scary and a whole lot of fun. Gremlins! Alright, so Avery, which one do you like better? Gremlins or Gremlins 2? Oh, that's a tough one. I think I liked Gremlins 2 a little better. Seriously? Well, yeah, it was just a lot of fun. But there were no scary factors in Gremlins 2. Well, maybe we should cover each of them for, the viewers' sake. Fine. So yes, Gremlins, a classic, a little bit of a Christmas classic since the event happens over Christmas time. You've got adorable little Gizmo that accidentally spawns these horrifying, evil gremlin creatures that go around causing terror and also murdering people in very clever ways. I didn't see anyone get murdered. It was implied, Avery. It was implied. Do you think that lady that got shot up in her chair up these stairs survived that? Well, I don't know. I thought it was kind of like a cartoon element. No, that lady's dead. And it was hilarious. Oh, so that's why it's listed under horror comedy then? Yes, exactly. Because there are still terrible things happening, but they happen in very silly ways. So yes, that's what makes it a bit of a comedy, but you still have those horror elements in there that are a lot of fun too. Oh, that's true. And the overall design of the creatures, the Mogwai creatures, when they become gremlins, is really scary looking and really super gross. Like, look at these guys. They just look disgusting. Yeah, really good practical effects on those. Puppetry work really good as well. I really like how their eyes and their teeth move and their little ears move up and down. And the people characters were really good in it too. It takes place in a small town, and this kid's dad gets him the Mogwai Gizmo for Christmas, and he's got these rules he's supposed to follow, but of course things happen and we find out why there are rules for that Mogwai. And the whole town, at least what's left of the town, bands together. And you see different elements of certain townspeople going around and trying to stop these creatures. Mostly it's just the kid and his love interest that does most of the work. But there is a really cool scene with his mom. Oh yeah, that was one of my favorites, where his mom takes on a whole kitchen full of gremlins and she shoves that one into that blender and it just goes and the blood's everywhere, the green blood because they're gremlins. And then she shoves that one in the microwave and it just... Oh yeah, that was a good scene. I thought that whole scene was gross, but to each their own. So yeah, between the two, I would definitely pick the first Gremlins. Just because it's a classic, it's a lot of fun, it's technically a Christmas movie, so you can watch it during that holiday season. And it also gives you those scary, dark elements on top of the comedy. And you don't see a lot of that in, winter or Christmas-themed movies. There are a few, but not many. So it's a welcome surprise and a ton of fun. So now we can go into talking about the sequel. Yeah, Gremlins 2. I think what surprised me the most about Gremlins 2 was just how tightly packed of a cast it was. That is true. You do have a lot of somewhat well-known actors in that cast, and they kind of play roles that feel like they're meant for. Like you got John Glover as kind of the main CEO guy. Yeah, and you got Robert Picardo as kind of this very strict by-the-book sort of dude, although he looks really weird with hair. Yeah, he had no hair in Star Trek. None. And in that Gremlins 2, he had like a whole head of hair. That was weird to see. He had a ton of hair, and then John Glover, who I'm used to seeing with lots of hair, only had hair on the top of his head. Yeah, Robert Picardo needed less hair and John Glover needed more. But that's completely beside the point. You've also got Christopher Lee in this movie, which blew me mind. Yeah, Christopher Lee plays this kind of weird biological doctor experimentation guy. Again, the roles made for those actors, it felt like, at least. It was all just kind of one big caricature of sort of a situation like that. Like, you've got the main character from the first movie, he and his now fiance, the girlfriend from the previous movie, they're working at this super high-tech building that's like this, the way of the future sort of building. Yeah, you got all those things. It's like an expansion of his dad's failed inventions or inventions that didn't work. But it's like a whole building of that. Yeah, and that's kind of how the second movie feels. It takes a lot of elements from the first movie, but then it just kind of expands them and builds on them more. And especially when it comes to the comedy. There are a lot of comedic elements here, a lot with the dialogue too. I'd say I laughed a lot more in the dialogue of Gremlins 2 than I did in the first Gremlins. Yeah, but see, I don't know if Gremlins 2 can be classified as a horror movie. I get why they have it in that category because the first Gremlins was kind of a scary horror movie, but the second one, they don't really hurt anyone. There isn't really much malicious intent other than them just messing around with things. And I guess you do have that one scene where they're like sticking metal and weapons through the elevator to try and stab the girl, but other than that, I didn't really see a lot of intention to hurt people. It was more of just messing around with the building and causing mischief. So it felt more comedic than scary to me. And if we're talking about horror, the first Gremlins is definitely the way to go. Yeah, but if you're kind of looking for something a little bit more fun with a little bit of a satirical edge, I'd say Gremlins 2 does that part very well. It's almost a satire of itself. Yeah, to the point where you've got them like breaking the fourth wall throughout the movie. At least 3 different times they break the fourth wall, at the beginning, partly in the middle, and then at the end. So in that way, it's almost kind of like a big caricature and a satire of the first movie, which is really cool. That, you know, it's a different way to take a sequel, and I really liked that. So, agree to disagree again? Yeah, we tend to do that a lot. I still really like Gremlins 2. I just like the first Gremlins more. I get that. And I like both of them, but I like Gremlins 2 more just because I'm not a big fan of the horror element. And I like the first one more because I am a big fan of the horror elements. But both are really good movies. Yeah, both really good. Good way to start out Scare-uary. So with that wraps up this episode of Scare-uary. Yes, and for the whole part of Scare-uary this year, we are going to be covering movies that are specifically on HBOMax's streaming service under the horror section currently. So anything in that section is up for game, and there is a lot to pick through. So we definitely have some decisions to make. We might just need to write down all the names of the movies and like pick out of the hat or something. There's just a lot there to choose from. However, you can make the process a little bit easier on us and more entertaining for you by commenting below on which movie you'd like to see us cover next. Remember, we're trying to focus on just HBOMax, so don't send us a movie suggestion that might be on Netflix or something. It'd be kind of fun if every Scare-uary we just covered a different streaming service and their horror lineup to see what they had. Ooh, yeah, that's a good idea. So maybe we should do Netflix like next year or something. Yeah. But for now, this is Avery and Lucy signing off. We'll see you on the next Scare-uary. You know what I thought about? What? Well, the Gremlins are tiny creatures with big eyes with blinking eyelids and big ears that move. Don't we kind of have something in here that moves like that right now? It's a coincidence. Yeah, total coincidence. It's an entirely different franchise. Yeah, different company. Total coincidence. Make sure he doesn't eat after midnight. Yeah.